Hi, I'm Jackie,
And I'm Seth.
and this is Never TMI,
Where we talk about real things.
and nothing is ever off limits.
Good day, everyone.
Good day, good day. It's actually a beautiful day today.
Mm-hmm.
Very happy. It went from 90 degrees to like 60 degrees in a day overnight, but I love it.
Yeah, we're still holding on to these last days before we get into the
I know. I think
heat
yesterday.
of summer here.
Yeah. Was yesterday the 90 degree day?
I don't
It was
know.
either yesterday or the day before, and I was like, oh, like, because I was excited because it was getting a little warmer, and then when the 90-day hit, I was like, never mind. I don't know if I'm fully ready. So,
No.
oh well. But we're excited to hang out with you guys today and chat, and we're kind of gonna, so in light of me not passing my first 1 hour glucose test, which was very devastating, we kind of wanted to talk about, like, that's kind of like what is on my mind. I feel like kind of what's on yours. I feel like not my glucose test, but just health and working out and all that kind of stuff. Seth has a guy's trip coming up, and it's like, I don't know, always. I can't wait to get to the point where we're just like living it and doing it, and it doesn't need to be a conversation, but right now that's kind of where we're at. And so it's like, what's our plan? What are we doing? And so we've kind of had like a lot of conversations lately just about like health and food and our bodies and just where we want to be. And it's crazy kind of to look back to just even in our marriage. Like, I remember when we both had like inspiration photos that we printed out and stuff. It's like, it's always something. So we kind of wanted to talk about that today.
Do you remember the picture I had?
I
never blacked out this guy's face.
As if it were like it's even remotely attractive. Seth basically printed out a picture of the Hulk, and I was like, please don't ever become this version of yourself.
And I took a black Sharpie and just blacked out his face because it got kind of weird to look at. But that just made the picture look so much weirder.
It was, and the lighting was terrible. It literally just looked like scary. Yeah, I will never forget that picture. It's like burned in my memory.
Yeah.
But I guess when it comes to the glucose test, that just raised a lot of just like conversation. And I that's like a whole nother topic. I'm always super, super open and vulnerable on my stories on Instagram. And so I shared that, and I was floored with how many hundreds and hundreds of messages from people who either failed their first one or had gestational diabetes or were just encouraging or like were in the same boat. And a lot of you were like, oh, I actually just failed too, and I have to do my 3-hour one. So it just felt so special. But in that, it's been so on my mind. It just made me think about, like, I've just had conversations with my siblings and stuff like that. And so I don't know, I feel like we just wanted to be open with you guys and talk about like where we're at and kind of even our plan moving forward, like what I don't know, but also just what got us to this point, physically, like body wise, like all that kind of stuff. I feel like it's been a topic.
Yeah, we've had some good personal conversations, so that's gonna kind of bleed over into this. But like, if you can kind of describe to them, like what have you been feeling personally, just physically after failing that first test, and like where are you at, kind of like what's the space that you're in?
It's crazy because I feel like there's so many things that go into it. There's so many, it's not just like, oh, you eat poorly or you don't work out and so you get this. Like, that is not how it works. But it's hard because I'm not, like, there were people who were like, I don't know, like I'm super, super healthy, or, even my whatever, like I was shocked, or I'm a marathon runner and like I have it or had it or whatever. And it, like, the fact that I don't feel like shocked, or the fact that I wasn't like, and I know, again, I don't know too much about it, but I just know that it has something to do with like your placenta and the way during pregnancy your body processes sugar. And
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Just so that I know not every listener in here is gonna
be able to relate to this part.
Had a baby or know exactly what we're talking about. But so essentially what Jackie's talking about is when you're pregnant and what this was at 26 weeks.
26. Yeah, usually it's at like 27 weeks. I don't know why I did it early, but
yeah, so right around then, she goes in and they take a test, and they're testing for gestational diabetes.
Yeah.
Gestational diabetes, which is, and this is just straight from Google, a form of high blood sugar affecting pregnant women. And then those who develop gestational diabetes are at a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes later in life. And from what we know, essentially, it's like a non-permanent form of diabetes that affects the uterus, essentially, or the placenta. Placenta. And so it's just kind of like something. Basically, it's a test where she drinks like a very high concentrated sugar.
Yes,
drink.
It's like 50 grams of glucose, and then your body, they test you before and after and just see how your body responds to it. So obviously diet and exercise and all that can have something to do with it, but it also could it's just like the way that your body, like your body during pregnancy is just crazy, the hormones, everything. And so that's just something that can be out of whack. I remember, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say it's to protect you, but also the baby. And it's the way that
absolutely. So
the way that the body breaks down sugars.
Totally. And I like my older sister, Jill, she is like super, super strict. And she's like, I was pre-diabetic when I was at my healthiest. Like, she's like, I had like, or whatever. That's just what she said. She was like, I literally, and she can't eat refined sugars. She stays away from all the things, the gluten, dairy, whatever. And so it's just when there's so many hormones and all this kind of stuff going on, like it just is something that can happen. However, like diet, all that kind of stuff, it does run in my family, especially on my dad's side. And so I think, when you ask, like, how'd you feel? It sort of was like a wake up call. I also felt disappointed in myself, frustrated, scared, because I'm like, okay, we got this 3-hour test coming up. Like, what if I have it? Like, what if that's the case? And then you have to like prick your finger 4 times a day and just be super cautious about what you're eating and make sure it's balanced and check your levels and all that kind of stuff. And that just sounds stressful. Not the end of the world. Not the worst thing that can happen by any means. So I know it'll be fine, but I think I just was like, what am I doing? Like, why have I not been like, and not just this pregnancy, but for years. Like, even before I got pregnant, I was like, I want to be at a certain weight. And, you just know that if you can do better, what you're doing, and if you can do better. And I've known that, and I just haven't chosen like to do better. And so I was talking to Seth last night and was basically like, I really haven't like told myself no much. And that's so necessary just in life in general, especially when it comes to food and when it comes to health and all that kind of stuff. It's like, I have this vision of like being confident in my body, because I'm not right now. Being confident and feeling lean and strong, and not even just looks wise, but just knowing that I'm doing well by my body, and fueling myself with the right things, and being able to say no, and to have discipline and self-control and all that kind of stuff. Like that's just an area of my life that I just really haven't committed to or tapped into. And it's like, I even think of my dad who, like when he was playing football, the, they have those like, they have access to like every medical thing in the world. And they were like, you're gonna develop, your like blood pressure, I think it was, or something. You're gonna develop something, if you don't change the way that you eat. And he was a pro athlete, It's like, it's not like he wasn't working out and doing all the things, but it was like, I remember, and then he did, and he has to take like thyroid medication. I don't know if he still does or not, but he's taken it for 30 years, the last I know. And so it's like, there are things that run in my family. There are things that like I need to think about, and I'm 30. Like, why am I just so careless? So that kind of is how I felt, just disappointed, shameful, like embarrassed. It was just like, oh, why? Like, and I know it's not just like my fault, and I have, whatever. And I, Lord willing, I don't have it, but even still, it just was kind of like a slap in the.
It was a good wake up call.
Yeah.
And I think, we had a great conversation about it as well, in terms of like, even though, and again, it's not, I know that there are some people out there facing way bigger problems, but this is just what's current.
Yeah.
But like,
and we're good. It's not, I'm not,
it's
like,
not like an issue.
This isn't like, oh my gosh, end of our world. This is just like what we're going through right now, but go ahead.
But just, the fact that like struggles in life, like, and actually I'm reading a John Maxwell book right now on leadership, and he started listing off like all of these famous people that we would know today, like Albert Einstein or, Abraham Lincoln, like, and each one of them, there was like a specific, you could say like a major downfall to their person in life that they overcame. And I'd have to go back and like pull some of the statistics from the book, but it was just such an interesting concept that all these famous people that we know, and they're famous because they went out and did great things.
Yeah.
But like one that really stuck out to me, Albert Einstein was essentially like deemed retarded as a kid, and yet he was like one of the smartest people today based on the advancements that he found.
Yeah.
In science and stuff like that, and so just like being able to overcome adversity is such a great character quality.
Yeah.
And I really think that makes, when you choose to stick it out and when you believe that there's answers and it's not gonna, everything doesn't just stop when you get a bad report about anything.
Yeah.
And so just like in light of this, taking it to say like, okay, this obviously wasn't a great report, but like there's a lot of good things that could come from it, which we're talking about right now. It's like my mindset shift of like, maybe that's the wake up call we needed to start getting back on track and working out and trying to eat healthier.
Well, I even said this morning, my sister was like, she needed something huge to kickstart.
Yeah. And you even mentioned it, like I have this guy's trip coming up in May where I'm just meeting some college friends, but it's like without that, and I've procrastinated. I had a plan written from January to May, like knowing this trip was coming, and it's just like without some type of carrot in front of you, it's just like, why? And so I do think it's important to have a goal or have some type of motivation, and yet I've waited till the last month to like try to kick in gear of like, oh, I'm gonna be at the beach, like
gotta do something fast for the next month and a half.
Like Big Daddy's coming out here. And so it's just like, and I do think that's a very critical piece of a health journey is having goals, setting milestones, because if you don't, it can seem like this endless journey. And so whether it's, a negative result on the back end that's kind of kicking you forward to say like, okay, and some of the conversations we've had is like, Jackie turned 30 this year, and she said that the doctor came in and was like, well, you can tell you're getting older.
Yeah, he's like, how does it feel getting older? And I was like,
and so it's just like, maybe that's a motivation.
Just a reminder. And even if I am being over dramatic about this 1 hour test, I know a million people are like, yeah, we failed it too. It's no big deal. Maybe it is like I'm overthinking it or whatever, but like there is something inside of me. And I think it's so important to and necessary to like face those hard truths. Like you with this trip coming up, you're like, I legit just didn't do something for 3 months. It's like, that's the reality. And for me, it's like, I literally said after the first trimester, like, I'm going to kick it into high gear. I'm going to work out. I'm going to do all these things. Didn't do it at all, and it's like, it's so necessary to face these things about in ourself. Like, I would say discipline and self-control is in this area is like, I don't think I've ever really mastered it. It's never been a strength for me. There's never a time in my life that I've just given 100% to like health and wellness. No season, even in high school, like I ran track all year round. That was my sport. That was what I did. And I absolutely can tell you with full blown honesty that I did not even give 75%, out of fear that my body would hurt, out of like laziness, out of, it's like, oh, I'm not the best. So whatever. It's never like, I've never pushed myself to the point where like I give into my flesh really easily. And that's just something I feel like in the past couple days, I'm like, man, I need to change that. And
because the reality is the older we get, the harder it
absolutely
is to change those habits.
Absolutely. So, and even talking with, you last night, like talking about Kennedy and Evan and whatever, Lord willing, other kids that we have. And I want them to see us make that a priority. Like, it is a priority. It has to be a priority. Like, I don't know why I at least treat it as something just that's so secondary to like, I don't know. It's like, this is my health. This is like the most important thing I have. Why am I so nonchalant with it? So I think like coming to that realization is really important because it just gets away from you. It'll get away if I don't, I'll be 35, 38, 40. And it's like, man, I still don't have like a grasp on, or I'm still I struggle with gluttony, or I still just overeat. I still struggle with discipline. It's like, nothing's going to change if I don't like make those changes. And I'm in control. That was the other thing. I was talking to my sister and I was like, it's like, I don't know why it stresses me out so much. It's like, what if I never get there? What if I never like have the body, the confidence in my body? What if I never feel good? And it's like, you're the only one who's in control of that, like that's up to you. You can make it happen or not, which is comforting, but also a little scary when you don't necessarily trust yourself or when you failed.
No, and I think that, something that we've learned probably this year is we're trying to hone in on health a little bit more. Having a motivating goal is huge. Like that helps a lot. Yeah. Having a accountability partner.
Accountability is huge.
Like we've failed in that.
Yeah.
And it's just like even
we've
for
been
each
the
other,
blind leading the blind.
We really have.
Yeah.
And this is a topic that we can't even pretend to speak like we know it much about. And so we are just kind of figuring out, but so these are some of the things that we're gathering as we go through some trial and error stuff. So that accountability is also huge. Yeah. But then also like time blocking and scheduling time to work out. And I think that's the thing that's
something we've failed to do for sure.
Recently just kind of implemented. Yeah, and it's just like if it's not on the schedule and we don't have the discipline skills, like who are we to think that it's even remotely
Like, I ain't getting up at 7 p.m. after we put the kids down to go work out. Like, I'm not there yet. And I think that, I mean, this goes into like time blocking it, but it's like, we have to know where we're at. Like, I think being honest with ourselves is huge, because it's like, you know what, maybe, and for both of us, I think for you, it was like, maybe I need a gym membership. Like, maybe I need a class structure. Like, I'm not doing this on my own, and that's okay. So in my mind, even in looking at Seth, like, you're so disciplined, but like, it's not like, I don't know, in that area is something you might not be. Yeah, you can wake up at 4 a.m. every day, no problem, and like go to bed at whatever time. But it's like,
I don't do that, by the way. So just
okay, well, you do get up wildly early. But like, you're so disciplined in some areas, and it's like, that's amazing. But like, nobody has it all. It's like, in this area you might struggle a little bit. So like, not being afraid of like admitting the fact that, okay, maybe I do. Or even for me, I said postpartum, because I remember with Evan, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give myself 2 weeks to eat whatever I want. And then like 6 months later, I was like, oh, I'm still eating whatever I want, and I'm still not working out. And so this time around, we were like, okay, at 6 weeks, I'm going to sign myself up for a class, whether that's Pilates, whether it's cycling, whether it's yoga, whatever. I'm going to sign myself up for a class, because I know I've proven to myself thus far. And that's not to say that we can't get to the place of like, I mean, that's something we're working towards. It's going to getting to the place where we are disciplined enough to use what we have in our garage and all that kind of stuff. And but I know right now I'm not there, and so I might need a little help in that area. And I think it's very important to do, is just to be honest with yourself about where you're at.
Yeah, and that's, that's a form of accountability too, is like a gym membership or a class, like having
something you're paying for.
Yeah, and that's another great point. Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that we've struggled to pull the trigger on gym memberships, just because it's more money, and it's just like, well, what's the cost of your health?
Yeah.
I will say another just thing that we've learned in terms of, like, as we're figuring this out, every time we've sat down to like time block our workouts or time to work out, we've always gone big for 6 days a week, 5 days a week, 7 days a week. Like, we're trying to do something every day, and that has never happened. And so recently we've changed the schedule to like time block like 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And that is so much more realistic. Or so even just like starting small, like even if it's, I go to the gym 1 day a week, or or twice a week, like whatever it is, doing that. And there's a great book out there called Atomic Habits.
I literally was going to say, you should,
if you haven't read that, that's a great book. But I remember something from that book vividly. He said, even like to start to build a habit, and he used the example of going to the gym. It was just like the beginning stages of the habit was setting your alarm and getting up. And this is the end goal, is to work out. And so it was just like, it starts with setting your alarm and getting out of bed.
Yeah.
And then like taking baby steps to work up to your goal. So once you can do that, then literally it was just like, okay, now get in your car and literally just drive to the gym. Like, you're not even working out yet, even though your goal is to work out. But you get in the habit of, I'm up at this time, I'm getting in my car, I'm going to the gym.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, now that you're going to the gym, now go into the gym.
Yeah.
And maybe you're, you're there for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so setting these incremental baby steps, and 5 minutes in the gym turns into 20 minutes, turns into half an hour, turns into, now that I'm here, an hour. And so it's just like when you do want to build a habit like that, start with just bite-sized pieces. Start with 1 day a week. Start with 2 days a week, and work up to, those things will compound on themselves. And I think too, having a mindset of like longevity,
long game,
as opposed to the situation I'm in of like, I'm trying to get
well, yes,
in
it's
shape in
failed
30
so
days.
many times. It's just like, before pregnancy, I want to get, and it's like, why am I not thinking of this as my entire life? Like, why? And we always say it, but we find ourselves continuously.
And I will say, I've gone through some serious weight journeys in my life.
Yes.
So like when I left college, or when I quit playing football in college, the most I was 275.
Yeah.
I lost 70 pounds within.
That like blows my mind still.
It was probably close to a year, probably not quite a year, but I lost about 70 pounds after I stopped my senior season of football. And it was just like I was obtaining this unnatural weight for my size because of the position I played.
Yeah.
Like it was just, and I thought I was healthy because I was always working out. I tried to eat relatively healthy, but I just had to eat. Like eating was a job in and of itself, just trying to keep my weight on. So I lost a ton of weight and got in better shape than I had been. But like, that goes to say you can work out, or you can be a professional athlete, you can whatever, and still not really be healthy.
Yeah.
And I kind of forget where I was going with this, but I guess to say, I do. So that's probably the biggest weight swing I've ever had.
Yeah.
But I've definitely gone through streaks where I've lost, 15 pounds, 30 pounds. Like I've done that so many times. Like my body weight has fluctuated relatively large amounts, a lot. But it's always like whenever I have a short-term goal, I can get the weight off and I can get down to it. But the comeback, the come around, it's always like, okay, the goal is to lose 20 pounds. I lose 20 pounds and I end up gaining 30. Yeah. I lose 15 pounds and I gain 25. Yeah. Like, and so, the net, like the goal is to lose the weight and to stay there. And so, maintain. But not having like these habits that you can actually then continue for a lifetime. Yeah. That's when the pendulum, it just starts getting crazy.
Because even when you do lose 20 pounds, it's not like, oh, great, got my dream body. It's like, it's such a process. It's such a...
Yeah, once you get there, you can't go back to eating how you were. It's like, now I've got to maintain.
And that's the piece that I feel like we've talked about so often, is like, this needs to be a lifestyle. This needs to be who we are. It needs to become the way that we live, and not just, and finding a good motivation. Like I feel like my motivations have changed so many times. Sometimes it's, I remember when I was in high school, I was like, I need to look good because my sisters look good. And if I can't be the one out of 5 sisters that doesn't look, fit and healthy and all that kind of stuff, like I need to maintain. And my eyes were on them. And I ate garbage. It was just because I worked out really hard for track, but I had Pop-Tarts and bagels and cookies literally every day. And then obviously your metabolism is quite a miracle in high school. But then like it shifted to just wanting to look good. It's like, oh, I'm not dating anyone. Like I want to make sure that I look great for when I meet someone and all that kind of stuff. And then like, I feel like finding a motivate for us now, it's like our kids are wanting to live long so we can be, and it has very little to do with like looks, and of course that's a piece of it. I really want to feel confident in myself, because it's not just like I want to look, quote unquote good, or I want to look lean for whatever particular reason. It's like, who cares about that? I don't look at someone's body and think anything of them or whatever. But like, I personally know how I feel about myself, which is a journey too. But like, I want to get healthy and have that be my mindset, have that be my focus. The body, the rest will take care of itself. But I know the confidence that I exude and can be an example for my girls who will one day grow older. And I don't want to be looking at myself and feeling insecure in a bathing suit or in, and I know I can do that in this state as well. Like, I know right now my body doesn't look the way that I would love it to. And it's mostly disappointing just because I know what I'm putting into it is not great. Like, I know I'm not like focused on health. But it's like, I want to be an example for them. I want to feel good. I don't want to live with like a headache and bloat and gas for the rest of my life. Like, I want to feel good. So I feel like when your motivation shifts from, or even this pregnancy, I did lose some weight before this pregnancy, not nearly as much as I wanted to, but it was like, I don't want this pregnancy. This is a third pregnancy. I don't want this to be like physically awful. I don't want to, I want it to be healthy for my baby. I want to still have energy to play with my kids and to like, do everything I need to do in a day, and not complain. I don't want to complain. So I feel like when you find a motivation that's bigger than I want to look good or, I've got this trip, so let me like lose some weight real quick. And it's good to have pinpoint goals. I think that's wonderful. I think it's necessary. But I also think having like a mindset shift of, let's make this part of our life. How do we how do we make this a priority? How do we turn this into a lifestyle to where, it's just our go-to naturally to eat really clean. And then maybe, come Easter this weekend or come a holiday or something, it's like I can have my cinnamon rolls and my deviled eggs and all that kind of stuff and know that like, great, we're right back on it. So, and it not be such a discipline and not be so difficult, or I don't have to like restrict so hard and feel like, oh, I can't have that because I did this. It's like just to be proud of myself too. I'm really excited about. But last thing, just an example of like the schedule that you were talking about, like time blocking. This morning, last night, Seth was like, I think we literally need to set a time and then it will happen. And it just felt so natural and so much easier than just like, oh, I need to work out. It was like we set the time last night and then we literally got up and we did it. And it was like, that was easy, like, did I feel like it? No, but it's like, this is the time that I blocked to go to the garage and work out. So that's what I'm going to do. It's like,
don't have a plan. You plan to fail.
Yeah. Like, it's like, well, what the heck else am I going to go sit upstairs? It's like, this is my time to go work out. So that too is huge. But yeah, any last parting thoughts or feelings or anything? Are you good?
No, I'm good.
I think sorry, go ahead.
No, I think just that's kind of where we're at. Just sharing our heart with our health journey. Yeah. Kind of a check-in in light of the Jackie's recent pregnancy checkup. Yeah. So, but it's a journey. I think that's the thought that comes to my mind. We're on this journey, and
it's the long game.
We're playing the long game.
Yeah, and food too. Food, it
It's so hard.
We're
though, 'cause
learning
food
so
is
much.
such a good. Like I love food. I
Oh
really
my
do.
gosh, right?
Like even
I know.
cooking, I enjoy cooking. It's just like there's
And
so
you
many
feel
great.
like, can't I just, even when I had COVID, I swear I was like, great, I'm going to lose like 40 pounds because I can't taste. And tell me why I still was craving like an Oreo that I couldn't even taste over a salad. It was like, our bodies are so conditioned.
I
It's
will
insane.
say we last night was our date night, so we ordered out, or we ordered in,
Yeah.
and we ordered Chipotle.
Mm-hmm.
After eating Chipotle, I told
Oh my
Jackie, I was
gosh.
like, no one in their right mind should eat the amount
No.
of food in a
Chipotle gives
Chipotle
you.
bowl.
No.
Like that, just the serving size.
Unless you get
it's
no
good.
rice, no beans. Like,
Well, yeah,
unless it's literally a protein bowl.
if you get the full thing, it's
Oh,
just like this the serving, the proportionate size of serving, like in America, is just so off balance.
wild.
And that has been the hardest thing for me is just portion
Yeah,
control.
same.
So
Because you can eat you can literally eat healthy, and
yeah,
I've done that before too. It's like, great, I'll have, and I don't know, a carb is a carb. So if I eat a million Siete chips, chances are the next morning I'm not like, oh, I lost a pound. Like, no. But yeah, it's gluttony, and that's a whole nother thing. But we just wanted to kind of just chat vulnerably with you. It is a vulnerable topic. It is like but I know it applies to everyone. Everyone is at whatever place with it that they're at. I know I've had so many conversations with just a lot of people from my Instagram that like have just been so helpful and encouraging and amazing, and just over time, like, I don't know, it's just been great. So I'm glad that we got to discuss this, and I don't know, hopefully you can take anything from it, even if you're just a little bit curious or nosy and can take nothing from it. We're so thankful that you were able to listen and stick around for this long. So we appreciate you guys.
yeah. Thank y'all.
Yes.
Again, I'm Seth.
And I'm Jackie.
This is Never TMI, and we are signing off.
Peace out. Also, send your prayers for that 3-hour test, because, well, you'll know next week.